We say we're not at war with Yemen. We're not at war with the Houthis. We're just having punitive strikes basically against their capacity to launch attacks into the Red Sea. As soon as they stop, we're done. But the other side also has a vote, as they say, and they think that they are in a war.
Right.
What is that going to mean if one side thinks it's in a war and the other side is saying, yeah, I don't really want a war?
What it means is that you have you have an absence of strategic thinking occurring here. You have an absence of intellectual honesty, an absence of situational clarity that's occurring. And you are waging war. In this case, the Americans, we are waging war against Yemen, denying it's a war, but still waging war. So there's this gross doublespeak, like we've seen, say, in the case of what's happening in Gaza, where we are pushing the Israelis to protect civilians. We are telling the Israelis they have to follow the laws of war, follow international law. At the meantime, 3 C-17s full of bombs show up every day in Israel. You know what I mean? So that type of gross doublespeak, very Orwellian. And you know what that means then is what do you expect? What's going to occur from this? What type of catastrophe is going to unfold from this? If this is how we have entered into this war with this type of real incompetence, of just disdain for the truth of the matter, then how can anyone expect this to go well? I mean, what I worry about, Danny, and I think you agree, because we've seen this, right? You had you're a celebrity. You had the guts to go to Congress in 2012 and say, look, the generals are lying to you about the Afghan war, and here's the proof. Here's our actual documents. They're saying A, B, and C, but this is actually what A, B, and C reads as. The point I'm getting at is that both you and I know is that it's just not public relations. They're just not saying these things, advancing the notions of progress, or that all is going to go well, or that we have a moral righteousness behind us. The worry is, and we've seen this, is that this is what dominates the actual thinking, that any divergence from the narrative within the decision-making process is inexcusable. It's just not allowed. So when you have, right? I mean, so that's the fear, is that within the White House, people actually believe that what's occurring is what the public statements are. And I saw this, troubling. Right? I mean, I just had a conversation not too long ago where I recalled my time being on their Iraq desk at the State Department in 2005, 2006. And I can tell you that's exactly how it was. During interagency meetings, so we have representatives from, all the different agencies involved in the war in Iraq, there was a truth that we all had to follow. And honest to God, the Office of the Vice President was in those meetings, and they enforced that truth. So this is in 2005. If you were to bring up that we are an occupying power in Iraq, and that's how we should now proceed forward in terms of how are we going to get ourselves out of this? How are we going to win? However you want, whatever your goals were, you had to take it from the reality that we're an occupying power. And the Office of the Vice President and others that were eager within the federal government to appease, that political leadership, enforced, we're not an occupying power. Nope, don't say that. You can't say that. It's not true. And then so you're basically going along with a fantasy world. You're going along with a fairy tale.
Yeah, and that can work when you're in an academic or administrative environment. When you're in the office building and you have a boss telling you that and your paycheck depends on it, then most people go, "Okay, cool, we're not." That works there. You can do that. It doesn't work on the ground. And so, what do you think is going to happen when the Houthis, who think they're in a war right now, the military firsters, all those people, I won't even call them neocons because it's really kind of cuts across a lot of the different aisles of the politics here. But those who are military firsters, who want to solve everything with military power, what they want to do here is to say, Yemen will be deterred, or they'll be stopped because I send enough missiles and enough bombs, and they're going to stop that. Now, let me just kind of remind people that Yemen has, back to at least 2015, of years and years of bombing from Saudi Arabia, much of which came from us. Both, we were supporting them even in that war here, and it never cowed them. They never were able to stop. But now then, people want to believe that we're going to fire a few missiles, and at some point, pretty soon, probably Yemen will stop. But here's what I'm asking you. Yemen thinks they're at wars. Now, what do you think the prospects are that they're going to go, you know what? We've had like now 8 or 10 rounds of missiles. That's enough. All right. Wave the white flag. What do you think they're actually going to do?
First, I really like the way you use that term, Danny, military firsters. I think I've got to remember to use that myself, because that's a really great way of describing who these people are who are in power, because it goes beyond the neocons, and you don't have to get tripped up trying to define, who exactly these people are. They're military firsters. Just the idea that we're going to call them a terrorist organization. Doesn't matter if they control 80% of the Yemeni population and that they are popular. And that, as you said, they just fought and basically won a 9-year war with the Saudis and the Emiratis. This lack of understanding of the reality of the situation, the circumstances, means that we're going to have this magical thinking. Where in the real world would anybody say, yeah, because they threw some missiles at us, we're going to stop fighting? Let alone a nation that just came out as winning in a 9-year war with American proxies.